All right, everybody, welcome aboard the Combatcast. We are live, and we're going to have a lot of fun combat sports stuff to talk about today. But before we do, here's a little video. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you, because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Man, welcome back to the show, Chevarooney. Why don't you tell me what we got coming up first?
All right, September 3rd, we have an early UFC fight night, Gan versus Tuivasa. That's a Paris card, so that'll be a 3 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to that. September 10th, we're another UFC pay-per-view, 279. That's Hazmat versus Nate Diaz. And then September 17th, UFC fight night, Sandhagen versus Yadong. That's a great matchup in the bantamweight division.
A lot of great bantamweight matchups. We had one this past weekend, one this coming weekend on the main card too. So yeah, that's a fun division all around right now. All right, so before we get started with our regular UFC talk, you want to talk a little bit about PFL and maybe profile some of the fights they got coming up.
So yeah, on Friday, there's a playoff card. So it'll be women's lightweight playoffs and men's featherweight playoffs. So just some of the fights to highlight are, I'm going to highlight both featherweight men's fights. That's Ryoji Kudu versus Bubba Jenkins. Bubba Jenkins is a veteran for sure. And then Chris Wade versus, one of my favorite fighters, talk about him every time he fights, Brendan Loughnane. Super great matchup between those two. There's a bunch of heat between them as well. So that's a great fight. And then on the women's lightweight side, the one fight you're going to want to watch is Kayla Harrison versus Martina Jindrova. Kayla Harrison is arguably the most dominant female fighter, not named Amanda Nunes. So check that out on Friday.
Absolutely. And I mean, big money, possible potential. I mean, like if she wins, they are trying to potentially book a fight with Cyborg. I would imagine if she lost a fight like this, it would be catastrophic for her.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this girl that she's fighting, I believe, is like 7 or 8-2. Kayla's 14-0. So, yeah. We'll see what kind of skills this girl has. I don't know very much about her, but I know Kayla is probably minus 9,000 in betting odds. So good luck to Martina.
One quick note about Bubba Jenkins too. The first time I ever saw him was on The Ultimate Fighter with Chael Sonnen and John Jones were coaching. And that was the season with Kelvin Gastelum and Uriah Hall, who just retired recently. Shout out to Uriah Hall. One of the, I would say, I don't want to say all-time great, but one of the good ones in the sport. Had a very good career. Beat Gegard Mousasi at one point. Always exciting to watch. So, we'll miss him.
Bubba the Jenkins, most brutal knockout on the Ultimate Fighter of all time that season as well, that spinning back kick.
Yeah, I think he actually beat Bubba Jenkins, too, if I remember correctly, I think, in that fight, too. I think he was one of the guys. Oh, that might have been Kelvin, actually. And another PFL guy retired, one of your all-time favorites, Rory McDonald.
Yeah, it's a bummer. We knew it was coming for sure. His decline in the sport, I feel like he's lost the love for it, not as much of an interest, but he had a tremendous career, gave the sport everything. Arguably the best fight of all time against Robbie Lawler. The most iconic "So You Want to Be a Fighter" photo is Rory McDonald staring back across the cage to Robbie Lawler with his face dripping in blood, or at the end of the 4th round, I believe, where the bell rung and Lawler blew out all that blood, and then they just stared each other down, had to be separated. I mean, if you've never seen that fight before, you absolutely should watch it. Any fan of the sport should watch that fight.
So he started off his career young. I knew that. I just was looking at his Wikipedia page here, America's most trusted news source. And he's 33 years old. And his debut fight was in 2005. So if my math is correct, that's about 17 years ago. Without his birthday, he was like 16 or 17.
Yeah, I believe he was 16.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, he was touted to be the next coming of GSP for Canada, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of training with GSP up there with Faraz at TriStar. So, he had some great fights. Ultimately never got the belt in the UFC, which I know was a big goal for him, but nothing. He's Hall of Famer in my book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so too. He's definitely a special talent. And like you said, that Robbie Lawler fight, if it's not already, it's got to be in the UFC Hall of Fame or their fight wing, I would imagine, at some point.
I'm sure.
All right. Now, last week's card was a good one. Any fights you want to talk about on this prelims before talk about the main card?
No, I mean, overall, the card was a sleeper. The entire fight card was good, but I think, we'll have enough to talk about on the main card.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Andrew Hill was the one. I noticed she got a big victory too, and a lot of people were surprised because California releases like the pay amounts, and she actually makes more, I think, than Dominic Cruz I was seeing somewhere. But she's supposed to
with a win bonus, yeah.
But if you look at Andrew Hill too, though, like she's had like almost like 20 fights in the UFC, like
over 20, yeah.
Yeah, she keeps so busy. So I mean, she got rewarded, I think, in a lot of ways.
She was very happy too. She got a decision win. It was a relatively close fight, and she's been screwed by the judges many times. So you could tell when they read off the scores that the wave of relief that she felt. So good on her. She looked great.
All right, main card kicked off. Gerald Meerschaert defeated Bruno Silva, guillotine choke. Thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, so I thought Bruno was going to come in and clip Meerschaert early in the first round, knock him out. But surprise, Meerschaert actually outstruck Bruno. I don't know if Bruno just had an off night or he just couldn't get the timing or whatever, but he looked like a shell of himself, really. Meerschaert controlled the fight start to finish. And really, he could have knocked Bruno out. He knocked him down and jumped on a guillotine to boost his submission record. I think he could have easily landed the end of the fight with ground and pound. So I'm not sure what's next for Bruno Silva. I mean, he can't have too many more displays like that in the UFC. Who probably did enjoy that fight, though, and the commentary team talked about this a little bit, is Adesanya had to be, licking his chops when he sees that Alex Pereira barely made it past Bruno Silva, and then Jared Meerschaert is dominating Bruno Silva. So it says a little bit about that upcoming matchup.
Will be interesting. Another fight that caught me off guard, I was a little surprised by. Not because I was surprised she won. Priscilla Cachoeira, I believe, could have that screwed up. Defeated Ariane Lipski, but TKO. I was surprised. I know she's got some power, but I thought Lipski was going to be the better striker.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I think really it was, I guess, her lack of fight IQ, really, because you have to know that Cachoeira is dangerous, and she has that power going in there, and she got clipped, which may have led to her poor decision making afterwards. Maybe a little foggy or whatever, but she just engaged in a brawl immediately with someone who has much more power than she does. So she ended up getting knocked out. I was pretty disappointed with the decision making and the fight overall, but good on Cachoeira. She did a great job, did what she needed to do to get it done.
Yes, she did. Azmat Mrzirkanov, he got a TKO victory over Devin Clark. What do you think about this one?
So Ozma is undefeated Eastern European guy. Obviously they're taking over the sport for sure. But the first thing that struck me when I saw them enter the cage is how much bigger Devin Clark was. He was so much bigger. He looked like 2 weight classes bigger. But Ozma did not care, and he just was a juggernaut and marched Devin Clark down. Devin Clark was tough, but he just got big brother basically, even though he was the much bigger guy. And he survived until the 3rd round, but Ozmat's undefeated, and he's going to be a problem going forward for that division.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Wrestling power. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then this fight, women's strawweight. I'm going to struggle with these ladies' names, but they had a heck of a fight. Yasmin, and I think this is J's actually an H. It's like Hurguri.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember now. I actually I had it. I know that we had talked about it. So
yeah, I was like,
let me see if I could see. Let's
defeated Lesemin Lucindo.
Go on with the other girl's name. What are their names again?
Lesemin Lucindo, and then Lasmin Haguri.
So it's Yasmin and Yasmin, right?
Yes.
We'll just go by their first names.
Okay. Yasmin got the victory here. What do you think of this one?
I think we're gonna learn their names in the next couple of years because both of these girls definitely have bright futures in the UFC. Like to debut on the main card of a UFC event like this. And I think one girl is 20 and one is 22 or 23, something like that. So they're both super young, and to put on a show like that, I thought we were going to get a war, like I said last week, and that's exactly what we got. I don't think either girl lost any stock in this fight. If anything, it's a huge boost to their careers because I know I'll be looking out for their fights going forward. So I was super impressed. They set a very good standard and mood tempo for the rest of the fights going on after that.
Yes. Well, that next fight, Nate Landwehr defeats David Onama in possibly the fight of the year. I had took a break. I had some people over, and I missed the first round, which Chevy was in the comments telling me that, oh, it's over. I can't believe this guy got back up. And that was Nate Landwehr. And Nate came back, and he was just crazy. Like, he was like in a war. He was battling. He was entertaining. He was a showman, and at the same time, just he's going to be somebody, like, his stock went up big time here. But David Onama, I mean, a guy that maybe if he just maybe works on some things with cardio, he could actually have the bigger upside of the two. But just in this case, like, man, Nate, was it Nate the Train or something like that?
Nate the Train, yeah.
Yeah. And then a hell of a promo at the end of it. He's just a wild guy. He's a lot of fun for these live events. What'd you think?
I mean, it was what a roller coaster of a fight for sure. So in the first round, Onama gets a knockdown. I thought Nate was going to be finished, but he couldn't put him away, and he ends up gassing out hard in the second round and getting dominated. Probably a 10-8 round in the second, and goes back to the corner, and Krause is grabbing him by the face, telling him to look him in the eyes, tell me, do you want me to stop this? Or no, he was saying, do you want to continue? And And David didn't say anything, but Krause didn't stop the fight. I thought he was going to for sure. And when David went back out immediately, I was like, oh, you probably should have stopped it, because he looked dead on his feet. Like, but he had a bit of a resurgence. Nate was pumping up the crowd, and I think that pumped up David a little bit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he just didn't have enough in the tank to make a comeback in the fight. And Nate really, he took him down a few times, got on top of him, and then let him up. And I think really, if he had just stayed on top of him and pounded him out, he could have got a finish. But he didn't. He made it exciting for the crowd. I think he was more concerned with making it entertaining than actually getting a win, which the crowd loved. Going forward, I don't know. I think I agree with you that Onama might actually have the upside of the career for sure. Although that being broken in a second round of a fight is worrying. But I think, he kind of blew his load when he thought he was going to get the finish in the first. So good learning experience going forward. Maybe he conserves a little bit more. I'm sure Krause will talk to him about that.
You can fix cardio, though.
Yeah, you can fix that for sure. And he has a lot of first round finishes. So, he probably thought, oh, this is it. I'm going to get it done here. And then, threw everything he had. So, Nate, super exciting. Like you said, cut a great promo. He's kind of cringy, but in the best way. And I don't know about skills wise if he'll ever be champ or anything like that, but he sure is exciting. And that is important, counts for something in this sport for sure.
That's featherweight. I'm looking at top 15 at featherweight, just the upper 15. And Tapora, I think that's his name. He's number 15. That could be an interesting fight.
I think Patty's trying to get that fight, right?
Could be.
Him and Patty have some heat.
Patty was fighting at lightweight, though, right?
Oh, that's right. But they did. I think they were talking.
They've had some, yeah.
They've had some, yeah. I know. I believe Patty has fought at featherweight over in Cage Warriors, but he's 200 pounds right now, so I don't see him.
I'd like to they go up to lightweight and fight Patty. I think that'd be.
Sure that would be great, and that would sell for sure. And it's not too much of a jump for Patty. That's a good shout.
Yeah, I don't think Shane Burgos is going to be there because he's number 14 right now. But I think the rumor is he is signed with the PFL. That's not official. I'm not sure, but
right.
So, but all right, main event. So Marlon Vera, Dominic Cruz. Talked to a mutual friend of ours, and they were kind of thinking the same way you did. That Cruz was going to put it on him here skill wise, and I was guessing myself, but this ended up kind of like I thought it would. Where but actually I got to say not quite. I thought Cruz looked amazing here for a lot of this fight. He was getting caught here and there with the power. Vera and Font too. It's almost a similar thing where, but Cruz was more on point than Font. But at point, Font's looking like he's outboxing Cheeto, but Cheeto's he's hitting and he's kicking, and there's just more authority. And that was the case here. Somebody brought up a good point that maybe if this was a 3-round fight, Cruz would have probably got the victory. We would have saw probably a different Cheeto, but just having to last that long with Marlon Vera, round 4 head kick, really good finish for Vera. Man, I don't know this guy. If he's not getting a title shot next, though, he's got to. I think he's got to. I got to imagine his potential. He's meeting Aldo or a Merab winner or something.
Yeah, or possibly the winner of Peter Yan and Sugar Sean, maybe, depending on how the title fight plays out. If the winner gets injury or something like that. But yeah, I mean, Cruz looked absolutely phenomenal when he came out. He knows that Cheeto starts slow, so he decided he was going to start fast. And he looked great. He did get knocked down in every round, but he's also moving around. His feet are not always set. So when he gets hit, if he goes down, I don't always assume that, it was a giant shot and he's hurt. A lot of the times he could be off balance because of his style. I think ultimately the problem was he didn't have enough power to get Cheeto's respect. You know, he could back Cheeto up with volume, but Cheeto always knew that if he just sat in there, he could counter Dom at some point. And, you know, him and his coach Perillo worked out a game plan and saw that Dom was dipping his head off to the side when he was exiting out of the pocket, which he always does. And Cheeto stuck his toes right in Dom's mouth and shattered his nose, and followed up with a couple good shots too after Dom face planted. So I think while Dom did look great, I don't think the championship's in his future again, and I think that's all he really cares about. And so it might be time to hang him up. You know, I wouldn't have been upset if he had put his gloves down after that in the octagon. He didn't, so nothing. I haven't heard anything otherwise since, but I'd like to see him retire personally.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad, but I'll tell you what, just to throw some stuff out there, I was listening to Florian Anik. Anik was really upset about it. He actually talked about on his show that Dom's one of his closest friends, and he loves Cheeto. And he said if he had to pick like people to be in his wedding, Cheeto would probably be in his wedding too. But he said that Dom and him are just so close that it's not like other sports. He says, you know, where your favorite team loses. He's like, this is just a guy that I got to really be with. And he said, I was glad I taped my show on a Monday, not a Sunday. But
the consequences are so much different in a sport like this than, you know, a baseball game or something like that. So,
but Florian had an interesting question. He had said this Dom thought about going to featherweight and what are his weight cuts like. And Anik said, as far as you know, this one was good, but the one he had against Pedro Munoz, he said was brutal. And so, you know, I'm not saying he's going to do well at featherweight. I always pictured Dom as like kind of in that perfect division. I thought bantamweight was like definitely his division, but it's certainly something he could just try one time, see what it's like. And man, you never really know. Other than that, you know, I mean, I think he's not a guy that's necessarily about the money, but someone of his talent, I'd be looking at that PFL and maybe try to get $1 million and get out of here.
I know I saw that he weighed 154 the night of the fight. So, you know, I assume he diets down to be able to make a cut to bantamweight. So featherweight might not be outside the realm of possibility for him. I'm not sure what he wants to do, but I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Nah, just give it a shot. If you're not ready to show you want to call, I mean, he looked good. You know, and again, too, like he's never really been finished until like recently here. This was like one of the first like knockouts you see. Like you look at the Cejudo one, it was more like the leg stuff. But like if he's having bad weight cuts, that could affect his chin too. So, you know, I'd be interested to see a Dom Cruz at featherweight and what he looks like. And, you know, I mean, a couple injuries here or there, it could probably set him back. But I'd like to see him maybe get his feet under him, have a decent featherweight fight, maybe a top 15 guy or something like that, and then see how he reacts. And then if he has a good fight and he gets out injury-free, maybe put him in there with a top 5 guy and see if we can catapult him. Because, I mean, against Volkanovski, that is a guy that at least physically, size-wise, we know is not a huge featherweight.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if he can retain his speed and then put some power on without the weight cut, you know, he could be a force for sure.
Absolutely. All right. UFC 278. Before we talk about this main card, as always, any preliminary fights here? Got your eye.
Yeah, I just had my eye on Miranda Maverick versus Shayna Young. I'm a fan of both girls, but especially Miranda. And then Leonardo Santos versus Jared Gordon. I believe that is the featured bout of the prelims. So just keep an eye out for those two.
All right. I'm going to kick this card off with Tyson Pedro versus Harry Hunsucker.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know. All right. Hunsucker is 7-5. He's got 3 KOs, 4 subs. So not the greatest record in the world here. Tyson Pedro, 8-3, 3 KOs, 5 subs. Tyson Pedro's been in there with some stiff competition too. So, and he looked great in his last fight. I'll go with Tyson Pedro. I say he gets it done, maybe with a ground and pound or a sub.
So Henry Hunsucker, I don't know if his entire career has been at heavyweight, but I know his last few fights, especially his last two, which were KO losses, were at heavyweight. So this is the first fight I can remember seeing him at light heavyweight. And I know that Tyson is a minus 740 favorite, which is a huge number in MMA. So he's definitely a big favorite. He looked great in his first fight back after a 3-year layoff with fighting injuries. So I think I'm going to go with Tyson as well. Tyson's super athletic, very fast, powerful, and he looked great in his last fight, like you said. So I'm going to go with Tyson by KO. I'm going to go round 2.
Okay. I'll match you with that round 2. I'll say, yeah, TKO. All right. Marcin Tybura, 22-7, 9 KOs, 6 subs, 7 decisions against a guy I'm not too familiar with, but Alexandr Romanov, who looks like he has a ton of wrestling credentials here. I'm seeing he's medaled in some tournaments and stuff in Eastern Europe. He's 16-0, 6 KOs, 9 subs, 1 decision. That sounds pretty damn impressive to me. I'm going to go with Romanov, and I'll say he looks like a wrestler, so I'm saying he's going to take him down, but he'll probably get some ground and pound and maybe turn it into a sub. I'll say round 1.
I think that Tybura's MMA grappling is a bit underrated. He lost his last one, but before that at heavyweight, which this is super impressive. At heavyweight in the UFC, he won 5 in a row. Yeah. And then I looked up Romanov, and his last 5 fights in the UFC, he's won at heavyweight also. So okay. I think this is stellar matchmaking. Unfortunately, I think style-wise, I think their grappling maybe nullifies one another a little bit. Obviously, I would give the edge to Romanov, but I think we're going to get a lot of clinching on the cage and rolling around, trying to fight for position until somebody gets tired and they don't really have enough power because it's heavyweight. They're just going to be tired come round 2. So I'm going to just go with Romanov by decision because I give him the slight edge in the grappling.
Okay, and then we got a real potential firecracker here. Jose Aldo versus Merab. I always mess up on his last name.
Dvalishvili.
Dvalishvili. He has got a record of 14-4, 3 KOs, 1 sub, 10 decisions. This guy goes to decisions quite a bit. Oh, he just got to finish. He's got 7 wins in a row. He is a cardio machine. He does not ever get tired. Against a legend, Jose Aldo, a legend who's number 3, I believe, in the bantamweight rankings. 31-7, 17 KOs, 1 sub, 13 decisions. He's won 3 in a row. Former UFC, WEC featherweight champion. He's done it all. Still at a high level. Ray Longo was actually said he was excited. It's the first time he's ever coached against Aldo. So it'll be an interesting fight. It's funny. I get very excited because I really like Merab. But when I look at this and I look at what Aldo still is, I feel like Aldo just has more tools. If this was a 5-round fight, I think Merab has a chance of wearing him down. But in a 3-round fight, I don't feel as comfortable. I could even see Merab maybe catching a head kick or something here. I like Aldo. I'm going to say 3-round decision. He gets it done.
Yeah. So as far as Merab's wrestling, I think he's like set records for most takedowns in the division or whatever. He just takes people down and they get back up, but they never get away from him. So he just takes them down again. That's, Khabib also was like that too. You never broke his grip. So even if you got up, he just would pull you back down, which, mentally is more defeating when you think you're getting up and then immediately you go back down. It's got to be heartbreaking. So if there's one thing that I don't think Aldo has to worry about, it's being broken mentally. That Conor buildup for a year or whatever, I think was the only time. And I don't see anyone else breaking him mentally. So like you said, I do think that Aldo has more tools, and he is very explosive with the striking, especially. He's not, a slouch off his back for sure. So I think he'll have the ability to get back up. With it being 3 rounds, I think he will hopefully kick the legs. I'm a fan of both guys, but I'm definitely going for Aldo for this. So I'm hoping he'll kick the legs a little bit to get Merab reaching for his leg kicks. And then, flying knee or, heavy, that left hook body shot that he throws. I think he's going to catch him with something like that. So I'm going to say round 2 TKO Aldo.
Okay. I could definitely see that happening too. I'm trying to. I just don't want to see it. I guess I don't want to see Merab get caught.
I love both guys. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, but now the next fight, I am all right. Luke Rockhold versus Paulo Costa. All right, Luke Rockhold. We'll go over to this real quick. 16-5, 6 KOs, 8 subs, 2 decisions. He's lost 2 in a row with bad knockouts. This guy's a former Strikeforce, former UFC middleweight champion. Paulo Costa, he's lost 2 in a row, but by decision. He's 13-2, 11 KOs, 1 sub, 1 decision. My heart is not even against anything against Paulo Costa. I really want Luke Rockhold to win. I liked Luke Rockhold. He could be a cocky, arrogant guy at times. Bisping caught him. I was super happy when that happened for Bisping because the guy had been around forever. But I hate seeing the brutal knockouts that Rockhold has suffered over the years. I think there's some merit to his style could be good against Costa. I think if he's on point, he presents some problems. That being said, I don't have a good feeling about this. I just don't. I want to believe in him. I want this to go to Luke Rockhold. I want to say he's going to submit him round 2. I'm going to pick Paulo Costa, knockout, round 2.
Yeah, I'm feeling about the same stuff with you as far as, I love to see Bisping knock out Rockhold, but I definitely root for Rockhold over Paulo Costa for sure.
Yeah.
This is a fight for the most beautiful man in the UFC
Yeah.
award for sure. So I'd rather see Rockhold have a career resurgence, and I'd love to see this amazing ground game that everyone's always talking about that he refuses to showcase for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I just think that Costa rushes him immediately and KOs him in about the first 40 seconds of the fight and ruins my night.
Yeah. I just don't have a good feeling about it at all.
I really hope not. I really hope not, because I'd like to see Rockhold do well. I'd like to see him make it up to fight Izzy, because I think stylistically a matchup between those two is excellent, and that's a fight I want to see. But Rockhold has to make it through the fire to get to Izzy. So I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong.
And to answer Randy Otz's question in the comments, do we see a knockout? Yes, I see it happening right here. Chevy sees one potentially with Aldo and Merab. And I don't know.
Tyson Pedro, keep an eye out for that one.
Take that one too.
Oscar.
So then we got the main event. We got Leon Edwards, 19-3-1, 6 KOs, 3 subs, 10 decisions. This guy's had a performance of the night. He's had the 6th fastest finish in UFC history. He's won 9 out of his last 10, with only one of those being a no contest because of an accidental eye poke. Yep. So this guy's really only loss was to Usman, in a fight that, if you go back and watch, there were different times, but he was doing well in the first round and then started to wear because of Usman's wrestling. Now, Usman, 20-1, 9 KOs, 1 sub, 10 decision, has had 5 successful title defenses. This guy was the Ultimate Fighter 21 tournament winner, fight of the night 4 times. Okay, so the first fight they meet, he tires him out with the wrestling. Edwards is a much better fighter since then, but so's Usman. The Usman that we've seen in the last several fights, I just feel like this guy's fighting at another level. And as much as I like Leon, I look back at that Nate Diaz fight, a fight that he won. He got caught at one point towards the end. what's going to happen with Usman, who just knocked out, Masvidal and Burns and some of these guys. You say what about Masvidal. Maybe some people think he's overrated, and I get that. He hasn't been knocked out cold too many times. Usman did that, though. Oh, and by the way, he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. Does Edwards pull off the upset, Randy Oscar? I don't think so. I like him. I'd actually maybe even kind of rooting for him a little bit just because I like them both, and it'd be kind of cool to see him get his moment. But my money would be on Kamaru Usman. I'm going to say he's going to finish him too, I think. I think he'll finish him late. But, I'll say he'll do it in round 4, TKO, ground and pound. Boom.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100% about everything you just said. Yes, Edwards has gotten much better. He's worked on his grappling and such. But obviously his grappling will not be at a Kamaru Usman standard. Yes, Usman's gotten much better. His striking is, leaps and bounds better. He has one of the best jabs in the division now to go with that, stellar wrestling. Plus he has a giant cardio advantage. He's the pound for pound number 1 for a reason. And I think that his fight IQ and Trevor Whitman's coaching is going to have him clinching and grappling with Edwards early to wear him out. It's going to wear him down. And then round 4, 3, 4, 5, he takes him down. Maybe Edwards gets up a couple times. Eventually, Usman takes him down. Edwards is too tired to get up, and he gets ground and pound finished. I'm going to say round 4 like you.
Well, we'll see what happens. Again, I'm really hoping I'm wrong about the Rockhold one, but we'll see. There's a couple fights. I don't know, I like this fight and the Merab Aldo fight. Like, my money's on Aldo Usman. I won't be upset if they win, but I feel like maybe if you ask me, like, with my heart, I just maybe like that. Sometimes I like to see that new blood. Maybe I'd be excited to see, Merab and Leon Edwards have their moment in the sun on this card.
Right, getting a trilogy of Usman and Edwards is, sounds great to me for sure. So
yeah, and I kind of wonder too what's next for Usman if he does pull this off. Like, I don't think he wants to fight Stylebender. I don't think he wants to go up to middleweight or anything. So
he talked about skipping middleweight and going to light heavyweight. He had a stare down with, I think, Jan Blachowicz or whatever in the back after one of the fights. He's a foot shorter than him, but who knows?
Usman's
how?
I
don't know. Who knows?
We're not even blinking.
If anyone was gonna skip a division and go up and get it done, it would be him. But there's a lot of scary dudes up there.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
So
all right. Why don't you tell people we got coming up one more time?
All right, September 3rd, we'll be previewing UFC Fight Night Gane versus Tuivasa. That is a 3 p.m. Eastern card from Paris. The big boys are going to war in Paris, so excited for that one. September 10th, we're back with another UFC pay-per-view, 279. That is Hazmat versus Nate Diaz. And then later on in the month, September 17th, previewing UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Yadong.
Should be a good fight. It could be fight. Bantamweight's coming at you. All right, Chevy. That'll be it for this week. We look forward to getting back with you guys next week and talking some more MMA action. As always.